It was supposed to be just another night on the air. My name is Daniel Cross, and for 6 years, I had hosted the Midnight to Dawn slot on WKVK, a sleepy AM station in rural Pennsylvania that nobody listened to. The station was closing at the end of the week. The equipment was outdated, the tower was rusting, and the FCC had finally revoked the license. This was my last broadcast. My final shift behind the microphone. I thought I'd play some old records, read a few sad farewells from the handful of listeners who remembered we existed, and lock the door for good. I had no idea that something was waiting for me on the empty frequencies. The station was located on the outskirts of a dying town called Ravens Hollow. A 2-story building that had once been a general store, now patched together with duct tape and faded signage. The transmitter tower stood behind it like a skeletal arm reaching for the sky. That night, the wind howled through the cracks in the walls, and the rain tapped a restless rhythm against the windows. I sat in the broadcast booth, sipping cold coffee, watching the clock tick toward midnight. The red on-air light flickered to life, and I leaned into the microphone. "Good evening, Ravens Hollow," I said, my voice echoing through the empty hallways of the building. "This is Daniel Cross, signing on for the last time. WKVK, the voice of the valley. Tonight, we're going to play some old songs, take some calls, and say goodbye." I queued up a vinyl record, an old country ballad from the 70s, and leaned back in my chair. The first hour was quiet. I played a few tracks, read a couple of messages from listeners, and watched the rain streak down the windows like tears. Then, at exactly 1:17 a.m., the phone rang. I picked up the line. "You're on the air, caller. What's your name?" There was silence at first, just the crackle of static. Then a voice. Low, distorted, like it was coming from somewhere very far away. "My name is Thomas," the voice said. "I used to live in Ravens Hollow. I moved away 20 years ago." I smiled. "Well, Thomas, welcome back. Do you have a request?" The voice paused. "I want you to play a song. It's called The Last Broadcast. It was recorded in 1974 by a band called the Hollow Men. They were local. You won't find it on any streaming service." I frowned. I had worked at WKVK for 6 years and had cataloged the station's entire music library. I knew every record in that building. "The Hollow Men?" I repeated. "I don't think we have that in our collection." Thomas's voice grew quieter. "Check the basement. There's a box marked 1974. The station manager at the time hid it there after what happened." I felt a chill run down my spine. "What do you mean, what happened?" But the line went dead. I should have ignored it. I should have played another song and forgotten about the call. But curiosity is a dangerous thing, especially when you're alone in an empty building at night. I put on a filler track, locked the booth, and grabbed a flashlight. The basement stairs groaned beneath my weight as I descended. The air grew colder with each step. Dust swirled in the beam of my flashlight. At the bottom, I found exactly what Thomas had described, a cardboard box, yellowed with age, labeled 1974 in faded marker. Inside the box was a single vinyl record. The sleeve was plain white, with the words "The Last Broadcast, The Hollow Men," handwritten in black ink. There was also a newspaper clipping from October 1974. The headline read, "Local DJ Vanishes During Live Broadcast, Station Shut Down Indefinitely." The article described how a late-night DJ named Robert Vane had been broadcasting from WKVK when listeners reported hearing strange sounds, whispers, crying, and a low humming tone. When police arrived, the station was empty. The record was still spinning on the turntable. Robert Vane was never found. I should have put the record back and walked away. I should have locked the basement door and never gone down there again. But my hand was already moving. I carried the record upstairs, my heart pounding in my chest. The station was still playing the filler track. I set the record on the turntable, lowered the needle, and watched it begin to spin. The sound that came out of the speakers was unlike anything I had ever heard. At first, it sounded like a folk song, an acoustic guitar playing a slow, melancholic melody. Then the vocals began. A man's voice, soft and trembling, singing about a broadcast that never ends, about voices trapped between frequencies, about a signal that reaches into the dark and never returns. But beneath the music, there was something else. A whisper. A whisper that seemed to be speaking directly to me. "Daniel," it said. "You shouldn't have come down here." I yanked the needle off the record, but the whispering didn't stop. It was coming from the station's main speakers now, from the transmitter itself. I looked at the broadcast console and saw that the VU meters were pinned, the signal was going out. The entire town was hearing this. I grabbed the microphone. "Ravens Hollow, this is Daniel Cross. I'm experiencing some technical difficulties. Please stand by." But when I heard my own voice echoing back through the speakers, it wasn't saying what I had said. My voice, or what sounded like my voice, was speaking in a language I didn't recognize. Words that twisted and coiled like serpents. The lights in the booth flickered. The equipment began to smoke. I looked at the turntable and saw that the record was still spinning, even though I had lifted the needle. The grooves were glowing. A pale blue light emanated from the vinyl, casting strange shadows across the walls. I tried to run, but the door to the booth was locked. I don't know how long I was in that booth. Hours. Minutes. Time had lost all meaning. The whispering grew louder. The record played the same verse over and over. And then I saw him. A man standing in the corner of the booth, or what was left of a man. His skin was translucent, stretched thin over bones that seemed to glow from within. His eyes were hollow pits of static. He was wearing the same clothes I had seen in the 1974 photograph. Robert Vane. He spoke without moving his lips. The words came from everywhere at once, from the speakers, from the walls, from inside my own skull. "The broadcast never ends, Daniel," he said. "I've been waiting here for 50 years. Waiting for someone to find the record. Waiting for someone to take my place." I tried to scream, but no sound came out. The whispering grew into a roar. The blue light filled my vision. And then everything went dark. The next morning, a police cruiser drove past WKVK. The red on-air light was still on, even though the station was supposed to have closed at dawn. Inside, they found the broadcast booth empty. Coffee still warm. Records still spinning. The microphone was on, and the transmitter was broadcasting static, a low, rhythmic hum that sounded almost like a heartbeat. They searched the building, the basement, the tower. Nothing. On the turntable, they found a record with a plain white sleeve. Handwritten in black ink, "The last broadcast, The Hollow Men." The needle was still in the groove. And if you listen closely, somewhere beneath the static, you can still hear my voice. Calling from the frequencies between frequencies. Waiting for the next late-night DJ to pick up the phone.